the metatarsus meets absolute emptiness. The servant plunged into the most resolute silence. 10 palms emerge from a boundless trunk, tracing the map of a long-forgotten lust. The sole of the foot, altar of a dark pleasure, drags desire along the bed of a black river. Phalanges that bind, that bend vain will under the weight of a goddess of pure atrocity. Hands that ceaselessly, that sprout from nothing, guide the mind through deformed flesh. The touch is an iron that marks the skin of the faithful, slave to the trail that Kali leaves on the paper. The flowing gold, the river of pure silk threads envelops the neck. Nothing can stop or forbid it. The keratin becomes the bond of one's own perdition, a network of strands, an eternal and sordid pulsation. Threads that penetrate the pores of the latent being, a capillary tangle that suffocates the unconscious. Each strand is a nerve, an extension of pleasure, where the spirit tires and accepts only suffering. The divine braid becomes the path to the abyss, guiding the OT through the tunnel of their own narcissism. The silk that burns, that embraces with hatred and passion. In the architecture of the hair lies total submission. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. Spheres of magma, bulbs of a feverish crimson, invite the mouth to the contact of the purest vial. The gland pulsates, exhales the vapor of sin, while the lip trembles in the reddish relief. Tongues of thorns that taste the sap of fear. Kali reveals her most sordid and ancient secret. The bite is the seal, the cut that pleasure proclaims, consuming the man who was inflamed in mutation. Kisses of blades on bulbs of flesh and crystal, where saliva becomes the most visceral fluid. The ruby that inflames, that grows on the misshapen trunk, is the beacon that guides the instinct that never sleeps. The shadowy appendage, the serpentine tentacle, injects the venom that wanders in the man's vein. An invasion of fibers, the touch of the deep fiber, where the beast's flesh abounds in the slave's soul. The world's orifice opens in a monumental fissure, a geometry of flesh, a transcendental portal. Many are lost in the center of that carnal flower, where the pillar of life finds its terminal end. The fissure devours, welcomes the metal and the seed, in a rite of absorption that transcends the conscious, where form meets and meaning dissolves. Kali offers death disguised as peace. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. A crack that closes, a body that becomes a prison, half on earth, half in the vastness. Heads that taste the honey of their own altar, while silence begins to devour you. Her smile is the end of everything I've seen. Multiple faces, tasting their own liquor, a closed circuit of self-consumption and horror. Lips seeking the center of their own existence, defying logic and all human science, while heads plunge into the sea of pleasure. Man finds himself about to disappear. The jaw closes, the portal seals his fate, half in the light, half in the crystalline abyss, trapped in the rock of flesh in a tightening dermis. The servant's consciousness has never been so alert. The trunk that crushes, the leg inhabited by the void. In Kali's prison, pain is the prayer that screams. The villainess reclines on the throne of limbs in pain, exhaling the perfume of a sadistic and mute fervor. Each of her sighs is the collapse of a galaxy at the height of ecstasy in the purest euthanasia. The evil face reflects the victory of nothingness over the human mass that remains at the crossroads. She expands her being, devours what remains of the self under the sky of hexeril that has already darkened the mutant angel. The synthesis of chaos and honey writes her name on the body with iron and chisel. End of an act where form has no more limits, and pleasure is the poison that the goddess finally allows. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment. The architecture of the abyss, the seal of immortal flesh. In the center of Kali, pleasure is the final judgment.